know about tuning in to Classical Tahoe? They stream the concert on the weekend at 10 o'clock our time,
Oh,
but they're very nice.
oh, of course, I'm sure
They
they are.
have they have an interesting mix of pieces
Yeah.
that they play. They always do something new and something soloistic, and then they'll do a chestnut because the musicians all
Sure.
know it.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Is that where Lori
Yeah,
is
Yeah,
from?
Lori, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
noticed this fellow in the cello
Yeah,
first.
sure.
He's
like
there this
that.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but
Lori, I think, is still acting
acting,
artistic
yes,
director.
she is. She does the
So
hiring,
she's done all the programming
and
too.
yes, and she gets a good hand when she comes out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now they have um, explanations. They have this woman who I think she does it in the afternoon, and they'll air that. But then she was speaking also the other
Talking
night
about the music
about the
and stuff.
music
Yeah.
and so
I always
forth.
like that.
Yeah, and it's folksy but serious music. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
and the audience is mixed. Some of them clap between the movements.
Yeah. That's okay.
But you know what? If they really get aroused, why
Yeah.
not?
I
Why
Absolutely.
know.
not?
It's always hard.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different like
Yeah, you can't be
reaction
snotty
to it.
about
Some
it.
people are just
Yeah.
like, ugh.
Well,
Yeah.
some soloists, some people, but I mean, it's a lot of them are locals and they support it.
That's great.
So
That's great.
yeah,
Yeah. Why
yeah.
not?
But last year they had a man do a marimba concerto,
That's
and
cool.
then as a kind of an encore, Lori and he, it was transcribed from piano and guitar. They did Astor Piazzolla a tango, and Lori got the whole duende, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
It
that's
was,
very cool.
and they have archives, and I can't find that performance.
Well,
Maybe
you put
Lori
it
has.
in. You can
Yeah,
put it
maybe
in.
she can get send me it. But
Cool.
she was terrific, and then I happened to see a thing on TV about how the technique to play for tenor is different. And also, they had this soloist last week, Lisa Law, is a violinist, and she does bluegrass as well as classical.
Lori posted something
And
about
she
that
said
too.
it tunes the violin differently for bluegrass.
Yeah. Who
Interesting.
knew, right?
Yeah, yeah, right. Well, anyway, go to Classical
I'll
Tahoe
see if I
because
can
you can
find
get
it.
the archives.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's on YouTube.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Abby, this is what happens at camp when we say what I'm about to say. I'm going to say, this is a call and response song. Yeah, okay. So at camp, when the person who's leading music teaches a call and response song, they say, this is a call and response song. At camp, they say back. Okay, so you have to say it though, ready? This is a call and response song. This is a call and response. I'm bringing you into the URJ camp world, guys. You're welcome because now you're cool. And this is a call and response song.
When we sing,
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 when we sing, So Shabbat Shalom again.
Shabbat Shalom.
My voice is coming back, but you should still sing louder than me because it's not all the way back. We are on bracketed pages 138 and 139 as we continue our way through this early Erev Shabbat liturgy called Kabbalat Shabbat, which helps us sort of ease into this gift of time and space with words that will help us kind of shed the stresses and the busyness and the worries of the week that we are at least putting on hold for the next little bit.
Shabbat lekabela echadodi likrat kala penei Shabbat lekabela shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad yishmianu el hamiuchad Adonai echad ushmo echad l'shemu tiferet v'litila echad odi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela echad odi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki hi mikor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshava tchila echad odi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela echad odi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela itoreri kivorech kumiori uri shir daberi kevod Adonai alayich nigla echad odi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela echad odi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela.
We rise in body or in spirit. In the sanctuary here, we face however we are this entrance, wherever you're joining us from. Also, we invite you to face the entrance to your sacred space.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha uv'tzola toch emunei am segula boi chala echad odi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela echad odi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela.
Before you take a seat, please take a moment and greet your neighbors. If you're sitting near someone you don't know, make a new friend. So we're on page 120, and it happens that we have, you can take a seat, that we have 3 individuals in the room who joined formally Barnard Temple this week. So Marla and Melissa and Herb, if you would join me to light our Shabbat candles. It's accessible. You can just come right up as you are. Yep. It's all this level. We're all good. I know. We're good. We'll still be accessible in our new space too. You could imagine that there's going to be a ramp up this side of the bima. The candles will be oriented the other way. But this is so important about the way that we are creating our sacred spaces. Page 120.
Oh, hear our prayer we sing to you. Be gracious to the ones we love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear our prayer to you. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Of course. So we continue as we welcome Shabbat and we get ready to offer Kiddush, this blessing that sanctifies this sacred day. And we need to add our blessings to this Kos Kiddush. So, what's good? What blessings might you share with us from the week? Janet. Janet said her grandson is in Turkey. He called from Turkey, but I coughed while she was speaking, and I thought she said, my grandson has called me a turkey, and I couldn't figure out why that was a blessing, but what you said makes more sense, and I'm so glad for that. What else is good? Felicia? Good. So I'll just repeat because our friends on live control at home can only hear that way, that Thalia's baby, Theo, had a procedure today that went well, and all is good, and everyone's recovering, and everybody's breathing a little bit more easily now. So yay for good health. Larry.
My daughter just got a museum share with Germany.
Oh, cool. Larry's daughter just got a museum share with Germany. The whole country? No? Okay. A little bit of it. Okay, Les.
Both of our boys were home on Saturday and coming home tomorrow.
Beautiful. Children, adult children home together with family. Wonderful. Cheryl.
Matthew called me yesterday and told me he's coming in next week from California.
Another visiting adult child. Excellent. Wonderful. Jill. I know, it's so exciting. Jessica Layton has moved back to the tri-state area, which is good for all the people who love Jessica Layton. I count myself as a proud, happy one of those people. Yeah, great. Nothing? No? Really? Marla's happy to be here. We're happy you're here too. Good. All right. Well, okay. Go for it, Eileen. Yeah, it's been beautiful weather. I will say I took home, I'll make a plug. This is Eileen Roman, and Eileen Roman is our garden guru. I don't know. How does that sound? So the beautiful garden that grows is in part tended and cared by Eileen. A small group of our leaders are very dedicated to it. You'll notice outside there was all this lovely farmer's market produce that was harvested by our Eileen today, I think all of it. I myself have already taken home a beet, a leek, a fennel, and some tomatoes, and you should do the same later. You can make a donation if you choose that will get donated to help other people have access to fresh fruit and produce like this. But please take it because it was picked and we don't want to throw it out, and it literally grew in the Barnard Temple garden, and you should eat it. And come take a tour, and you might want to just appreciate the garden or one day volunteer with the garden. We love friends. Okay, Joel Swartzberg had help from Rebecca Rund sharing the video from last Shabbat with a bubble. I don't know if that's supposed to be a friend. I'm not sure. Somebody in Kiev. So great. Rebecca Rund is a very useful human, and I'm glad she was able to help you with that. I think the only thing I'll add is that I booked my flight to go to Israel with some of you here in the fall, and I'm so excited to be actually having a flight to go to Israel. It feels very real. And if you have been on the fence about whether or not you should come on the trip, the registration is closed online, but if you're nice, we could probably get you in. So it is going to be a wonderful group to travel with. So would encourage you, if you're thinking about it, to think about it now while it's still the right time to do it. There's about 15 of us, and I'm the youngest person on the trip. So if you're nervous about traveling with children, it's not a young children trip. So that just gives you a lovely sense of our cohort. All right, good. We are on page 123. Please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Page 146, we remain as we are. Top of 149. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows, Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim.
Ahavat olam, Beit Israel, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Ahavat olam, Beit Israel, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, v'shochbenu kumeinu, nasiach bechukecha, benizmach bedivrei Toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Beit Israel, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Page 154. Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Page 158.
מי כמוך chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai Kal Yisrael. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai.
Middle of 161. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours.
Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. Let's invite you to take a breath for Shabbat. Page 164. Please rise.
Adonai safatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chazdei Avot ve'imahot, U'mevii gula lifnei v'nehem, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, וחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמע קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We continue privately through pages 180 and 181. You may do so seated or standing, as is your custom. We're going to talk about blessings today, and here you can share with Marina. So I think I'm trying to not waste too much paper, but I also want you to have sheets. So share with your buddy if you have a buddy near you. You have a buddy. You have a buddy, and you have a buddy. You have a buddy. Okay. Here, Serena. I'm going to put you and Abby to work. Okay. Can you go give these out to buddies? Abby, can you help me? Can you help give out sheets? Thank you. So partners, 1 per 2, exactly. Great. See, child labor is a good thing. Okay. So this is ambitious. It's okay, we're probably not going to get to all of them. And I'll just say that we have studied a lot of this text together before, and that's okay. Right? We read the Torah over and over again every year. And sometimes I come across teachings that we have sort of contemplated together that I still love to revisit, and which means I love to reteach them, and it means there's still something here for us, I think. So this is not the kind of text where I think you're going to walk away and think, oh, I've never, ever seen that before. Wait, Abby, did you get one? You'll be so sad if you don't have one. Les wants one. Does everybody have one near them? Does anybody want their very own? Because there are some extras. Oh, see, Aviva does. I got you. Okay, I got one more. You're a trio. Any other trios want their onos? No? Okay, well, that's fine too. I'll put it here. Okay. So, our Torah portion this week is called Ekev. We are zooming away through the book of Deuteronomy, which is lovely. It just means the high holidays are coming sooner. So, okay, for our friends who are home, I'm still going to let people read here tonight because it's a lot of text, and you're going to get sick of hearing me, so I'm sorry that you can't hear as well, but I'll try to restate salient points, right? Imagine, since I already did the thing with the ramp, imagine screens that could come down, and we could project the words on the screens, and then we wouldn't have to waste the paper, and it's even possible with an operated service that the camera could be focused on the screen, and everybody could see the text. Ooh. Okay, so we got to get there. I'm not asking you for anything tonight, but I'm just saying these are things we want to do because I think they will really change the way that we get to exist in our spaces together wherever we are. Who would like to read the first little section of English here? I don't think there's anything weird. It's just English. Joanne, nice and loud. Okay, so here's a promise. What's going to happen in this particular verse? Good stuff is coming, right? God is going to bless us, right? Because God said God would bless us. All these great, beautiful things are going to happen. Okay, so now we're going to read a little bit more. It's the next chapter. Who would like to read here? Jane?
When you have eaten your fill, give thanks to the eternal your God for the land which God has given you. Take care, lest you forget the eternal your God and fail to keep God's commandments, God's rules, and God's laws, which I enjoin you upon you today. When you have eaten your fill and have built fine houses to live in, and your herds and flocks have multiplied, and your silver and gold have increased, and everything you own has prospered, beware lest your heart grow haughty, and you forget the eternal your God, who freed you from the land of Egypt, the house of bondage, who led you through the great and terrible wilderness with its serpents and scorpions, a parched land with no water in it, who brought forth water for you from the flinty rock, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers had never known, in order to test you by hardships only to benefit you in the end. And you say to yourselves, my own power and the might of my own hand have won this wealth for me. Remember that it is the eternal your God who gives you the power to get wealth in fulfillment of the covenant that God made an oath with your fathers, as it is still the case.
Okay, so that was a lot of reading and done very well. Thank you, Jane. So clear and dramatic. Beautiful. Okay, so I obviously bolded the first and the last, but the middle stuff's also really important, right? When we have eaten our fill, give thanks to God for the good land God has given us. So put that in your own words. Have gratitude, right? And maybe not even beforehand, but like you just had a meal, say a blessing of gratitude after, right? We call that Birkat Hamazon. We do different versions of that. There's lots of language for it. Why? Why do we have to do that offering of gratitude, in this case after we eat? Because what might happen to us otherwise? We might think what? We might think we did it. Oh, well, look at this is my beautiful fine home, right? And this is my beautiful food, and all of this lovely wealth, and all of this prosperity in which I live. Boy, I am pretty awesome, right? Things are good. But, and there is a but, not an and here, but that is missing the point, Ekev says, right? Because why? Because who is it, or what is it, or how is it that I came to be living with something for which to be grateful? God, right? Lest you forget lest you think that you did this all by yourself, you got to say a blessing of gratitude. Because all of this, by the way, you might have done a lot to get it. I'm not saying it just appeared from the sky like manna. But we got to say a blessing of gratitude, because otherwise we might forget this thing to which we are connected. Okay, so I actually want to pause here. And this theology is actually maybe a little bit complicated for us in some reason. Why? Why could this be actually difficult theology for us? Janet? Well, if we don't do this, it could make people think that they're in control of everything, right? But even this text, which is beautiful, is a little complicated, right? If we're taking it literally. Because why? Great. So there are questions here to start, right? Well, if God is who provides, then what about people who don't have? Right? How do we make sense of disparity in the world and inequity and inequality if this text says here that all this great stuff comes from God? That's a really important question we have to wrestle with, right? I'm not answering all the questions, but I want to lift up the questions because they're what keep this meaningful every year. Cheryl? Correct. Yeah. So a lot of the text in this book has a lot of these kind of equations, right? If you follow the commandments, then good stuff's going to happen. And if you don't follow the commandments, then bad stuff's going to happen, right? I could have chosen that text for tonight. I didn't. There's a lot of options to do those in Deuteronomy. That's also complicated, right? I'll just add, I think, another layer of possibly complicated is that we might think that we actually don't have to do anything, right? If it's just that it comes from God, then like, if it just comes from God, then like, maybe I can just like pray for it and it's going to come. Maybe I don't actually have to work hard or study for a test or whatever it is, right? Maybe it just arrives. Jane? We have agency, right? And so I just want to say that these questions are important and they exist, and particularly the question about like how we make sense of who has and who doesn't have is a really interesting and important study that comes out of this text that I took out of what I brought tonight, but it is here. I do want to just acknowledge that like everything in the Torah, there's great questions we have to wrestle with. And even if we don't have like a perfect in-the-box answer for them, there's still good stuff here for us, and we're going to continue. Make sense? Okay. And now I'm going to ask you to just do a personal reflection. You don't have to share out loud. And you're going to think I'm being judgmental, I think, but I'm not. How often do you say a blessing of some kind after you eat or before you eat? Let's use that as the most specific example, right? My guess is, and by the way, I'm in that company with you, it's not all the time, right? And like maybe it's never, or maybe it's not often. And one of the reasons I love this particular text, this teaching that comes out of this Torah portion, is that out of this idea comes this commandment ultimately to offer blessings around food in particular. And I just think it's like so practical and such a thing we can do without a lot of knowledge or change to our lifestyle that I love revisiting this every few years with us. Okay, so Birkat Hamazon is the blessing that we say traditionally after we've eaten a meal. And if you have ever lived in organized Jewish community of any kind, it's actually done in community a lot of the time. Sometimes we do it privately, but sometimes there's a lot of singing and ruach and banging if you're at camp. And there's good reason for that, right? Because we actually want this moment of gratitude and blessing offering to be filled with life and to be filled with joy and intention. So let's understand a little bit more about why we say the blessing, though. What's the purpose of the blessing? Josh?
I'm sorry, I was going to ask a question.
Go for it. I love questions.
Do you think that there's any importance to the thanks being given after versus before?
So that's a great question. Josh asked, does it matter if the thanks is to be after or before? And I think, traditionally we do it both times. So I think it's easier after in some ways because you're ooh, my belly's full. That's nice, right? Maybe there's a way for us to be less panicked or hungry or something in this moment of gratitude. But you'll see in a moment as we continue through here that it ultimately is an and kind of a situation, not an or but situation. Make sense? But it's a good question. All right, who wants to be another reader on that Brachot 35a, section? Jane. Other Jane.
Rabbi Levi contrasted two verses. One states, the world and all that is contained within it belongs to God. Another verse says, the heavens belong to God, but the earth God gave to man. He resolved the contradiction by stating that one verse refers to the status of the world before reciting a bracha, and the other to after its recitation.
Okay, so let's just explain that. So there's two contradictory verses. Verse 1 says, this stuff is all God's. And verse 2 says, God gave it to us. So how do we cross the bridge? We say a blessing, right? So Jane, read the next line.
Said Rabbi Hanina bar Papa, when someone derives enjoyment from this world without a bracha, it is tantamount to stealing from God.
Okay, so we could just stop here tonight. And actually, there is these really deep teachings that teach us, that want us to really internalize that if we take enjoyment from something without saying thank you, it is as if we are stealing. Just stop and think about that for a minute, right? And it goes back to this idea from Ekev, right? It's like, this thing wasn't mine alone. I didn't get here by myself, right? That's the whole, you might think that you built this beautiful house, kind of thing by yourself. And if I don't offer a blessing of gratitude, it's as if I think I did it myself, which is as if I'm stealing from God, because none of this was solely mine to begin with. Yeah, Bob.
I just feel it's so wrong. You're always saying God gave us those for stealing from God, but it's so much easier to think also it's not just God, it's all the other people before us, the society, the country, and it's all the other people that contributed to us being in the
Great.
position we are.
So you're like expanding this idea in a beautiful way of God, right? I mean, you're not literally saying God is all the people, but maybe you are. Maybe you're saying that when we pause to offer a blessing for gratitude or thanksgiving, we also implicitly, but could explicitly, name all the people or all the systems or all the things that helped us get to that moment, right? So when I eat food, which I go to the store to buy, and maybe is sometimes even delivered to my house, if I were really to stop and think about all the people who helped that food get onto my plate in my home, that is a way, I would say, of acknowledging that we are part of this bigger thing and that God is part of that. And that it is, if I don't acknowledge all of the ways that we are interconnected, then it is like I am stealing from God. Then it is like I think I just magically poofed that food onto my plate with a replicator, if you're like Star Trek people, and it just magically came here, and it is like the Talmud teaches, it is like stealing from God. And there is another teaching around this that actually says that food is in the realm of the divine, and the blessing actually makes it, we think we're blessing the food and then it's like holier and we're going to eat it, but the blessing actually makes it profane, mundane, ordinary. And it's not until we can actually take it out of the realm of the mundane and put it into our realm that we are allowed to eat it. Bob.
Also, this thing about stealing is an interesting thing, but you could also say if you don't acknowledge the help that all these other people gave, you're almost stealing from them by not acknowledging them as well.
Well, I think there's real truth to that, and I think it also forces us to think about all the people who helped get our food. Like, how were the people who picked my strawberries paid? What are their living conditions like? What about the truck drivers? What's the impact on the environment? I mean, it's overwhelming, right? And it does force us, even if it's uncomfortable, to sort of exist in this ecosystem, which we are part of, even if we don't want to think about it, which I think is part of the point of blessing. Right? It is to relocate us, to re-anchor us in this place where we live, which can be complicated. And we can't solve all the things, but we might notice it differently and we might change our behavior a little or something like that, right? We might choose to go to a farmer's market if we have a relationship with a local farmer, particularly in the summer. There are so many farmer's markets. I don't know. I'm not telling you you have to do that. I'm not being proscriptive here. I'm just noting that even from the Torah and then into the Talmud, there is this invitation. Actually, it's really an obligation, but I'll call it an invitation from Judaism for us to say, how might we change one tiny thing about our behavior in a way that acknowledges that this stuff that we have because we are connected to something bigger, and see how that impacts how we live. We're not going to read all the rest of the text, which I anticipated, but I do want you to turn your sheet over and look at the very bottom. You're welcome to take this home if you want. One of the texts that's here says, is there only one right way to say this blessing? The before or the after, whatever it is. Well, there kind of is, but as long as you say God's name, but as long as if the intention is there, it's really okay, which is the net, right? So if you look at the very bottom of the page, you'll see there's this Aramaic line, which I'm not going to ask you to read, but which are a lot we learn and we offer as a shorter blessing after we eat. Brich rachamana malka de alma mare dehai pita. And our kids learn that, right? Abby definitely knows that. We sing it when we don't have time to do a full blessing after meals at Jewish camp, at URJ camps. This is what we sing. I do it in professional conferences too. And this is Aramaic. So what does that mean? Does it come from the Torah? Nope. It means somebody wrote it. Somebody came up with a shorter way to say, thank you for this awesome food that I have in part because I'm in relationship with this God, this thing that is bigger than me, right? So, maybe you want to learn a little Aramaic line. This one's good. There's some nice melodies for it. But I really want you to see this here because I want you to see that there are lots of languages through which we can express gratitude for food in the form of blessing. We know that because this one was written by people, the rabbis who wrote the Talmud, right? This does not come from the Torah or God. So, come up with your language in your house. What would, in TV shows, I always heard people say, rub-a-dub-dub, thanks for the grub. I don't know if you ever grew up. I feel like in all the, depictions of, it was Christian America where they would do some version of, a prayer before eating, right? It's not depicted in the way that we tend to live. But there's still those articulations of pause and gratitude. And here's our version of that, sort of, right, that the rabbis wrote in Aramaic, which would be hard for some of us to say if we didn't know the words well. But always, I hope, when we see these moments, them as invitations for us to come up with our own language, right? To remember that we read this portion last year, we're going to read it again, and we're going to forget again. Maybe you're going to get good at it for a little while. And maybe next year you'll come back to Ekev, and you're going to say, Rabbi Steiner, I did it. I made a commitment for one meal every day, start small, to say a blessing before I ate, or to say a blessing after I ate. And this is what the blessing was. It was just, thank you, or even a reflection on how this food came to your plate. I would love to know if that changes anything about the way you sort of exist in time and space, if it changes the way you feel connected to each other, to our tradition, to God. And I realize what I'm asking is actually, it sounds quite simple, but it's very hard to do, to make ourselves get in the ritual habit of changing our behavior like that. And I think it's worth doing it, especially if you've got a buddy to do it with, right? It helps to help each other, to remind each other. So take that if you want to learn some Aramaic. I can teach you a way to sing it if you want. And if not, 3 words, 2 words, 1 word, before one meal a day. Try it for a week. Try it for a day, right? It's going to be uncomfortable at first and weird. It's going to feel foreign. It's going to probably even feel not Jewish, because I think all the images I ever saw of that were on, shows where people who weren't Jewish were doing it. But it's right here in the Torah. See how it feels. See if it changes the way we feel connected to this idea that we're all part of something bigger, and that we all need each other. And that actually leaning into that reliance maybe allows us to feel a little bit less alone and a little bit more empowered to be actors in the world. So, you're good at saying other prayers, right, that maybe felt uncomfortable at first. Misha Berach, our prayer for healing, is one of those moments on 371, where certain things we learn to do become comfortable, even if they are sort of countercultural. So maybe we'll take this not countercultural thing and make it comfortable, just like we've done in these examples. Have the opportunity to share the names of anybody you are holding close or praying for this Shabbat in the middle of our prayer, as always.
Mishe Berach
name of anybody you are thinking of, I invite you to do so as my eyes meet yours. To all of these names, we add Tricia Anstey, Ann Baker, Layla Balestra, Debbie Becker, Marty Burglass, Susie Bernardo, Suzanne Broder, Merrill Burley, Eileen Changsett, Andrew Citron, Lois Colin, Selwyn Cooperman, Uri David, Alan Demby, Shub DeRosa, Hugh Dugan, Gail Eisen, Robert Fernandez, Diane Fox, Phil Good, Susan Goodstadt-Levin, Jill Gordon, Linda Gottlieb, Melissa Griegel, Jason Hadashane, Chana Bat Meir V'Chana, Gary Harrison, Lois Ann Horowitz, Shmuel Yitzchak, Dr. Alan Cantor, James Kaufman, Risa Kaufman, Barry Kessler, David Klein, Rabbi Michael Kuskin, Larry Levine, Mike Levine, Beverly Lewis, Eugene Lipkowitz, Mo Liss, Abby McTaggart, Juliana Merlucci, David Miller, Mikey Norman, Brendan Osis, Andrea Pakin, Hugh Pollack, Ava Rasmussen, Randy Ringler, Hope Rothenberg, Irene Ruditzowitz. Did I get that right, Jane? Shirley Schnitzer, Dan Schaffler, Mindy Schwartz, Joanne Siegel, Adam Sifre, Beth Silverman, Bob Sonnenklar, Jessica Spellman, Joseph Steck, Erica Summers, Karen Untig, Joyce and Stephen Weinberg, Teddy Wool, and Michael Wolf. Page 586, the lower half of the page. Please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, l'tegrila le'otzer breshit, shelo asanu ki goyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kecho hamonam, ve'anachnu korim u'mishachavim u'mordim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591 in the middle of the page. Please be seated.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ושמו
Page 590. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know why I said that. I hadn't changed my page. Page 598. We remember with love your loved ones, our loved ones, whose death fall at this time of year, at this season in years past, or in more recent days. This week in particular, we remember those yard sites. For this Shabbat, we remember Ree Adler, Nathan J. Becker, Lisa Burstein, Allison Carroll, Molly Cohen, Rabbi Martin Friedman, Benjamin Fuchs, Ida Gordon, Shirley A. Gorens, Joan Haberman, Cheryl Haft, Nancy Sager Halpert, Hilda Kagan, Gerald Katz, Richard J. Kaufman, William Kirshner, Fanny Kotlas, and Louis Kotlas, Arthur David Nathanson, Paul Olson, Frida Pally, Frida Resnick, Helen Oakes Rosenberg, Walter Rykowski, Gail Schulman, Annie Silverman, Beatrice Starr, Jeanette Stull, Erwin Ungerleider, Ann Wax, and Lillian L. Weil. During this period of Shloshim, we remember Eric Mannheimer. And tonight as a community, we offer Kaddish for Rima Demby, who was a very long time member of Barnard. And we send our love to her husband, Alan, and to her children, Glenn, Beth, and Laura, and to their families. I'll note that if you are looking for Alan, he is in the hospital. And so if you're looking to reach out to him, just maybe give it a couple of days, or just be patient with returns. We expect him to return home, just not home right now. If there are others whom you are remembering and I didn't offer their name, but you'd like to do so, I invite you to do so now. If you are observing a yard site this Shabbat or are in a period of mourning for somebody who is dear to you, I invite you to rise first. My sort of weekly reminder that this is not to single people out in an uncomfortable way, but rather to invite us, since our minhag is to say Kaddish together and to rise, that we don't otherwise get to see who the mourners are in our midst. And part of this moment is to know who to give a hug to after services, or who to ask about who they're remembering, and to offer those connections through those life cycle moments together. So we say to you in particular, Zichronam Livracha, may the memories of your beloveds become blessings as we weave their legacies into our living. And we rise together as one community. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach chirute v'yamlich malchute, B'chayechon uv'yom echon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'halal, Shemei dekudisha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all people everywhere. And we say together, Amen. Okay, couple of quick announcements. We'll have one more Atrium Shabbat. Oh, you can sit if you want, that's fine. Sure. This summer on August 19th, it's going to be held off-site, so when the notice comes out, you'll have to register and we'll tell you where we're headed. Please this is the time of year, I always want you to read your emails, obviously, and we're about to start giving you lots of information for high holidays. Started this week, you got an email about the Book of Remembrance. I'll just note that we are doing how we print the book a little bit differently this year, so you do have to actually click through and say, yes, I want my people here, right? That's all you actually have to say, but it's not a default to last year. We're really trying to make sure that people are in the book who you want in the book. So read your email. We're about to send out information about tickets and, all the things that happen. So please, 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 we need volunteers always for the high holidays, for greeters and ushers and all of those things. We're just starting to get going on. So please let us know if you would like a job for the high holidays. And I think that's really all I need to say about that right now. What do you think? Okay? Yeah. Shall we say Motzi, and then we'll offer one final blessing, and then we'll potluck.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amen. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ve'al kol Yisrael amen.
Shabbat shalom.